What up? What up? It's kind of weird. I couldn't find a link for a little bit, but then it was there. How y'all doing? Gene Walzak, Pregaming Pigskin. The man on the ones and twos is Kyle Edwards, the king Kyle Edwards, New England Patriots finest. The guy is on fire. He's glowing. The Patriots keep winning, and he is consistently happy. He gets to watch his team on Turkey Day. Me and the Godfrey do not. The Godfrey, THEE. Take him off mute, Godfrey. What's happening? What's happening, y'all?
What's up?
What's up?
Listen, when this landed on Thanksgiving, in my head, I'm like, I don't want to miss this show. Seeing your beautiful faces and knowing how this is such a big day for NFL football, and we got a couple of degenerate gamblers that listen. I would love to be able to give my take on today's action. So we got the most dedicated team. Sports Empire Network, Kyle Edwards, the Godfrey, the most dedicated team. So we hop on here on Thanksgiving morning at 10 o'clock to bring you guys some pre-gaming pigskin. So we got a lot to talk about. So before we get into the games this week, I want to talk about the benchings. I want to talk about the sit downs. Happy Thanksgiving, y'all. Let me slow down.
Happy Thanksgiving, Gene. And Godfrey. What's up?
Happy Turkey Day.
Happy Thanksgiving to all the listeners out there. I appreciate you guys. What's popping? Brett, I see you. Sharing it out to all the groups. Yeah.
Did you guys cook anything?
I don't cook.
Yeah, no. My mom handles all that.
Nice.
I go over.
I'm doing a prime rib.
I let them cook.
I'm going to do a prime rib myself, so,
By yourself?
No, I'm going to cook it and bring that as my contribution to the family dinner.
So you're bringing the whole prime rib. It's like you're cooking it at home and bringing the prime rib on the road.
I'm going to cook it there and bring the prime rib and put it in the front seat with a seatbelt on it.
I see that's a little much. I can't do that. Can't do all that.
Protect the prime rib at all costs. Turkey's overrated. Give me a turducken or a prime rib. Okay?
I'm with you. I agree with you. Turkey makes me just tired of shit.
It's dry. You need 9 sauces to make it edible. Come on, man. Like prime rib or turducken. All right? That's where I'm going.
So you start your own traditions. You don't worry about nothing else.
Well, there'll be turkey there, but I'll be eating prime rib while other people are like, oh, I have to have turkey. I'm like, you can have that dry ass bird. Dry. It's dry. Kind of like Zach Wilson.
So what type of bird is that in the NFL? Is that like a Seahawk? Cardinal?
No, it's a cardinal right now because they're dry. Real dry.
I had a conversation with Bill and Cottrell on Wire to Wire last week after the Cardinals beat the Rams. And they're like, well, maybe it's not Cliff Kingsbury. Maybe it's Kyler Murray. And then the Arizona Cardinals laid the biggest egg ever and got absolutely destroyed. They quit on their team on Monday Night Football. They quit. Buda Baker said it after the game. He's like, yeah, I mean, men lie, women lie, film doesn't. And you could see on that Kittle touchdown, they were just making business decisions. I'm not going to make that tackle.
Once they gave him that extension, they made the choice between him or Cliff Kingsbury. And
they gave him both extensions back to back.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought they were logical in Arizona. My apologies.
No, not at all. No logic whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think Kyler Murray is definitely part of the problem.
100%.
And so is Cliff Kingsbury. But, the thing about that game last week, though, man, in general, just a side point here, the NFL talks about player safety. It's 22,000 elevation. The elevation is 22,000 higher than Denver. People have problems in Denver. There was cramping. There was all kinds of things going on the sideline, if you noticed during that game. I watched that game. I bet it, won it successfully, took the over under at 49.5, won it by the hair of my chinny chin chin. But I will tell you that, is that good for players? They were talking about headaches. They were talking about cramps. They were talking about is it good for the quality of the game? I mean, I get you want to expand your game beyond the borders. I get there's plenty of fans in Mexico. I'm going to be willing to say that they're more 49ers fans than Cardinals fans because it's a more successful team. But at a certain point, when you start looking at the safety, like you say you do, of the players and the quality of the game, I think it definitely degraded some of the quality of the game. It just, you could tell. I mean, the announcers were talking about it. They're like, oh, expect headaches, expect nausea. What? Like, are you kidding me?
I see. I don't look at it that way. I think that there's boxing matches, fights that happen there. I think a good team would be acclimated, especially with the game on Monday Night Football. You probably get in town Thursday instead of Saturday. Get yourself accustomed to the air, and I don't look at it that way. I really don't. You can say what you want to say. The Arizona Cardinals quit.
Well, I'm not saying that as a precursor to them quitting, but I'll put this thought in your head as far as athleticism. I played football and have wrestled. One of the wrestlers that were on my team in high school was Michael Haynes, who was a first-round pick for the Chicago Bears out of Penn State. And I could tell you that he would get on our team to get in shape, and he got his ass kicked by a 207-pound pudgy kid in a wrestling match that pinned him to the ground. Had no business beating his ass. The point of me bringing it up is boxing, condition-wise, blows football out of the water by light years. So those guys can probably, just elevation means nothing to them because boxing is just, I've done some boxing training like for workout purposes. It will kick your ass. I mean, the Cardinals are going to quit whether it's 15,000 feet below sea level or 90,000 feet above sea level. That's for sure. They don't have a leader on that team. It's a rudderless ship, and Cliff Kingsbury is not the type of coach that Kyler Murray needs. Kyler Murray needs a Sean Payton or someone with a strong personality that's going to say, listen, you suck. No one cares what you did in Oklahoma. No one cares. No one cares about your Call of Duty ranking. What they care about is you getting W's on a football field. And right now, you're barely edging out Colt McCoy in my mind. He needs someone to humble him because Cliff Kingsbury ain't that guy.
I've been calling for that for years. I said he needs a Mike Tomlin-like coach. Somebody will get in his face and tell him what it is. It's embarrassing because Kyler Murray was the first overall pick. Guys has all the talent in the world. And when you don't get talent out of players, here's my point, right? Can you give me a player? And I always do this with a lot of head coaches, right? And I'm sure Kyle can do it with 20 of them in New England, right? Because Bill Belichick's a stud. Can you give me a player that went to Arizona and became better
under this regime?
Yeah. The obvious answer is James Conner, but his best year, in my opinion, still in Pittsburgh. But who is the player that went to Arizona and got better?
Nobody. Conner was already established. He just was injured a lot. He was already established in Pittsburgh, in my opinion.
But that's my point. Who are you coaching up? What scheme are you creating that's scheming people open? Listen, even Kyler's rookie year in his second year when you've seen all that talent, it wasn't Cliff's scheme that was getting these players open. It was Kyler's athleticism running around and then eventually finding an open guy. They quit. Yeah, Coach Dante, completely agree. They quit. That's a lot. That's a lot to. But they quit. They just gave up on the play. I think that Cliff Kingsbury needs to be fired, and he should have been fired Monday night. He should have been fired Tuesday morning. But they gave him an extension, and here he is. Kyle, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, at some point, even though you gave him the extension, you might have to just cut your losses and take the hit of whatever the cap or whatever, just to get a better situation in there. I mean, if Brett is correct in that Payton is interested, I feel like you don't even give him the chance to take the Chargers job. You go at him full court press right now, get him in there, and help solve the problem. Because like you guys said, it just looks like with the Cardinals, it's just a lot of undiscipline. Whether it's scheme, effort, all that. And when that comes into question, you got to start firing people at the top. Coaches, assistant coaches, you got to get the ones out of there that aren't doing the job. So
I'm amazed that Sean Payton would even consider that job. I consider that job as one of the worst jobs in the NFL. You already have an overpaid quarterback. Mm-hmm. You have an aging roster.
Yep.
Why is that a job that's considered you have a wide receiver one that's paid well, you have a quarterback that's paid well, you have nobody on these rookie deals that are absolutely overperforming, J.J. Watt's part of your payroll. He's definitely aged. Buda Baker is your prime safety that's going to need to get paid. Like, what part of that job do you want?
He wants the LA job. I mean, listen, the
I would
NFL's
want that job.
yeah,
Yeah.
the NFL,
Justin Herbert's also going to command a lot of money soon for a
Yeah.
guy that's never won a playoff game.
the NFL's worst nightmare is both LA teams becoming irrelevant and sucking at the same time,
It's going to happen.
and it's on pace for that.
I don't think the Chargers will ever suck. I don't think they'll suck while they have Justin Herbert.
Well, they're
too good
going
to
to be
suck.
mediocre. I mean, and it's not because of Justin Herbert. My thing is Sean Payton will want that job. Because the problem is with Kyler Murray is he's got all the ability in the world. Someone's got to turn him into a football player, not an athlete.
Agreed.
And that he plays like an athlete, and he still has that mindset like he did in college, where I'm going to out athletic everyone, and you can't, because you have great athletes all over the field in the NFL, and that's how it works. And someone's got to go in there like, listen, dude, you have to be a football player. Yeah, you're a great athlete. That's great. Leave that at the door. Come watch your film.
$1 million talent, 10-cent head.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, that's what you got with DeAndre Hopkins makes Kyler Murray look good. Let's call it. With DeAndre Hopkins is on the field, he makes a value difference. When he's not playing, you see the real Kyler Murray not being able to elevate his teammates. I agree with you, Coach. I agree with you. Coach Dante spitting a lot of facts. Kyler Murray without DeAndre Hopkins definitely looks way worse. But I also believe that a talent like Kyler Murray could be coached by the right person to be, like we were just talking about 2 years ago. We were talking about Kyler. Dude, 8 games in the last year, we're talking about Kyler Murray being the MVP of the league.
Mm-hmm.
I have the modern day example of the road Kyler Murray's heading down. Not exactly, but football wise, I'm talking here. Michael Vick, right? He apologized to Jim Mora on camera. Hey, coach, I'm sorry, I didn't really look at the film. Michael Vick came into the league. He had immense talent, and he admitted himself. He didn't put all into it. He gets to Philadelphia. The stuff in between isn't really relatable, but he gets to Philadelphia and he gets a hold of a coach like Andy Reid, who is known for pulling talent out of players. And Andy Reid revamps him, almost having an MVP season in 2010. And that's where Kyler Murray kind of reminds me of. Like he needs an Andy Reid type. I mean,
and he needs it earlier than Michael Vick got it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because in reality, and Michael Vick, by the way, just to be clear, this Kyler Murray will always be the poor man's Michael Vick, because Michael Vick's talent was so good it got him to an NFC championship game without watching film. So like I hear what you're saying, but Kyler Murray is not going to win a playoff game. He's not going to. I'm surprised he's seen the playoffs after that collapse last year, and then they get into the playoffs and they get absolutely embarrassed by the Rams on the first Monday Night Football game, a wild card weekend.
And he becomes Jay Cutler, mini Jay Cutler, with that pouty face.
Just so much talent, but so little headspace, man. All right, well, let's talk about the benchings. Let's talk about the quarterbacks that have been benched. One of the biggest, you got to be kidding me, moments ever was Zach Wilson after Sunday's game versus New England Patriots. Kyle, I'm going to lead off with you. You watched that game. That's your squad. 3-3 game. Punt return ends it 10-3 final score. After the game, reporter asked Zach Wilson if he feels sorry, if he wants to apologize to his defense for his performance or for the offense's performance. And he goes, nope. A couple days later, fast forward, he's benched.
Yep.
And now his apology tour started. Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there was questions about Zach Wilson coming out of BYU in terms of the type of leader he might be. I feel like I remember some people questioning that. And you're kind of seeing it right now with the Jets situation, because that Jets defense is Super Bowl quality. They just need a quarterback who could put points on the board. When you sit there in the second half and you have 2 yards of offense, that's embarrassing. And all he had to do was go out there and say, hey, I didn't play well. We as an offense didn't do our job, and we'll be better. To pull the whole no, it's like, do you understand what just happened? You were in a game against a division rival, which that should have got you mad to begin with. And the way that you lost the game, it's like, you got to figure it out at some point. And Godfrey brought up Jay Cutler. I was starting to get some Jay Cutler vibes from Zach Wilson because a lot of people wondered about Jay Cutler, whether he cared whether the team won or lost or anything. And maybe that's who Zach Wilson is, a talented guy who just, for whatever reason, just don't know if football is really that much of a big deal for him. Now, we'll see with Mike White, who's going to be the new quarterback for the Jets, if he has that like Taylor Heineke effect on the Jets. But Zach Wilson's career might already be at a crossroads in terms of being an NFL starter.
You said Jay Cutler, bro. I think that what we do as human beings is we go to relatable names and relatable situations. I don't. Why is Zach Wilson Jay Cutler? Why is Kyler Murray Michael Vick? Here's the truth, in my opinion. You know who Zach Wilson is? He's the poor man's Ryan Leaf. He's the poor man's Baker Mayfield. Like Jay Cutler at least had Pro Bowl seasons. I don't think this kid's ever going to have a Pro Bowl season. I think he stinks. And I don't think he stinks because he doesn't have the arm talent. I just think a lot of these kids that come out of college, especially at programs like BYU, who aren't like, I don't know, Alabama, Clemson, like top tier collegiate schools, and they're treated like a god for so long that they don't understand how to mature. Like these. So, all right, think about you when you were 21, 22 years old. Think about me when I was 21, 20. Think about Godfrey when he was 20. I don't know. Godfrey's still 21. But think about these situations where these kids come in and they're treated like a god. Anthony Price, great comparison. Is Zach the next Baker? But once again, Zach hasn't reached Baker yet. He hasn't reached Baker. He got benched before he could become Baker. Think about that. He's already been benched on the Jets, and their defense is incredible. Robert Saleh is incredible. Hey, guys, Kyle, you should thank your lucky stars, because you're a Patriots fan. Thank your lucky stars that screwed that draft up. Because that draft has 13 home runs in it and one absolute bust in the first 14 pick. Seriously, go back and look at that draft.
Well,
pull up that whole draft. It's embarrassing how much talent's there. If they draft Justin Fields,
who I thought they should have drafted, because I'm a big Justin Fields guy.
Same. Yeah. By the way, he's got separated shoulder. Yeah. He might not play. Jets are going to kill them this week with Mike White. They're going to go out there and look incredible. Watch, the Jets are going to be the route of the week. Just like I called the Cowboys last week over the Vikings. The Jets will be the route of the week. They'll beat Chicago 48-1. Kidding.
One.
One. Just gonna get an extra point.
Okay. I think everybody loves the backup quarterback. I think the Jets have been down this road before. Mike White is right. I remember that chant. And here's the thing. I don't know where Zach Wilson's going to be, but what do the Jets have to gain in the heavy AFC to bench this kid, to litigate? I mean, bench him temporarily, but long term, you drafted him at 2. The upstairs is going to say, okay, put him back in because let's litigate what we have here. You're not going to push the team any further by putting Flacco or White in. It's not. I don't think it's that much above it where they're like, we're going to make the playoffs now because this guy's in here. You want to send a message to him. That's not how you act. He's very young, but he's a product of, and I always felt this way coming out of that draft. You know, we had a lot of the pandemic seasons behind these guys. And guess what, man? Zach Wilson had one good year at BYU, and he becomes the number 2 pick. I always felt Justin Fields was the guy, or Trevor Lawrence in that draft. You know, people say Trevor Lawrence still needs to be litigated. And to me, you know, I remember that draft. People were like, oh, the 49ers should definitely take Mac Jones. Whoever thought that, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it now, you were smoking crack. Sorry, Kyle. I know you're a Patriots fan, but Mac Jones is okay. Maybe he needs to develop a little bit more. But Fields was the dude that I felt like had both skill sets as far as being able to run outside the pocket and throw the ball. And when I look at Zach Wilson, man, I made fun of it last week. You know, he had a really nice throw in his gym shorts. I mean, I just, these guys get hyped up sometimes because these general managers want to invent a quarterback in the draft because they're so thirsty for a quarterback. And he might be one of those guys. But at the same time, I think you can't make knee-jerk reactions as an organization. And that's why the Jets are perpetually where they're at. Is it a knee-jerk reaction to bench him long-term? I'm not talking about this game. It might be. I don't know what they have to gain by doing that, because then you might hear, well, he's matured over the offseason. Let's see what the training camp looks like. No, you want to see exactly what he is through this season. What are your expectations long term? You got a good defense, because then you're gonna have to say, now we got to go get another quarterback. Now you're gonna be playing around with it. Well, he just needed a week off. You see what I'm saying? It muddies the waters too much, in my opinion.
Godfrey, I completely, and utterly disagree with you. And like, I'll explain to you why. I'll give you a reasonable. You know what he has to lose by benching Zach Wilson? Not benching Zach Wilson? The locker room.
I'm just talking long term.
I don't care about long term. Rob, that culture is more important in a locker room, because long term, right? If Zach Wilson can't learn, I would bench him the rest of the season. I wouldn't play him the rest of the year. And then you start next year with a quarterback competition and see if he changes his tune, changes the way he comes into camp. But you cannot lose that locker room. Garrett Wilson's holding players accountable. Great speech, by the way, Garrett Wilson. Elijah Moore went out. This is the first round draft pick they had 2 years ago. They have the talent there. And if you lose the locker room, you have a situation where, hey, the coach might not be there if you lose the locker room. And Robert Saleh is a good football coach.
You also got a GM that's worried about being there too. Like, I know he had a great draft, but people are always trying to protect their jobs in these organizations, and the owner's looking at you.
A fireable offense. Zach Wilson is a fireable offense.
And if I'm the GM,
how many home runs he hit outside of Zach Wilson. Like, when you draft a quarterback number 2, you got to be sure on that quarterback.
If I am the GM, I'm trying to save my ass. Sorry, Joe. No, you had a good draft, but he is a fireable offense, and you're trying to be like, listen, Robert, I need him to be in.
If you don't feel like they had that conversation behind closed doors, if you don't feel like they had that conversation with the GM, the owner, the whole 9 yards, like, listen, I'm losing the locker room, and they all made that decision collectively, I don't think you understand what's going on in the Jets locker room. Because I guarantee you, they sat down, they had that conversation, and he has Robert Saleh's full blessing of the Jets organization to make that move.
They do, but man, being an Eagles fan and looking at them from the outside and saying, I know it's like, I don't think we ever really know what's going on behind the scenes. I mean, the win situation has really taught me that. And I just feel like, who knows? I mean, we know what we see as fans and watching analysts and watching this kid. We're like, I don't think he's it, right? I mean, and he's too immature for it. But, man, he's in this position in the first place because this is what GMs do now. And I'm glad that this draft they didn't do it. But before that, they were inventing QBs. They're like, this guy's going to be good. Mitch Trubisky, Zach Wilson. The list goes on, who they wanted to be a good quarterback because they pushed up in the draft and forced their pick instead of taking the best player.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Wilson compared to Patrick Mahomes coming out.
Oh, God, that was so embarrassing.
Yeah.
I watched, like, if anybody that watched him play in college, anybody that watched him play, period, knew that comparison was embarrassing. Yeah. See, the problem is this, right? A lot of people that are NFL reporters or NFL, like NFL guys, they don't watch enough college football to understand, especially BYU football. Right. They look at the stats and then they see him at like a pro day and a senior day, and then you're like, oh wow, this guy's a stud, but you don't really know what he is when he's playing against Little Sisters of the Poor, throwing 7 touchdowns because he's got ridiculous arm talent.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to have a conversation with Zach Wilson's mother. She seems to be an interesting character.
Jesus Christ, guys, all right, so another event. We got to run through a couple more moves before we get into Thursday night games or Thursday Thanksgiving games. I'm so used to Thursday night, but Davis Mills is benched. I feel vilified, bro. I feel that before the season, I was on like an episode of Punk'd when I was arguing with like 6-7 different people who was a better quarterback, Davis Mills or Trevor Lawrence. And I was so angry in that argument. Like, I was like, literally, I'm like, are you guys kidding me? Davis Mills stinks. Like, he stinks. What are we talking about? And I finally got benched. I feel like the football gods were like, Gene, you're correct. Davis Mills benched in Houston. What do you guys think?
I mean, you can't really defend Davis Mills at this point. I was one of those during his rookie year. I thought there could have been something there, but this year he took like several steps back. And the way that Houston's set up, they're going to be set up to be, another high draft pick, which is normal for them. And you have some quarterbacks coming out that are definite upgrades over Davis Mills. So why prolong it? You move on. I mean, Kyle Allen's going to get the shot this week. I mean,
that's just basically waving the white flag. That's what.
Yeah.
When you start Kyle Allen, you're like,
yeah.
Why don't they just put a catch machine on a wheelchair and throw it out there to be quarterback? I mean, I don't, Kyle Allen, like really, I
just run Wildcat with Pierce. I mean,
if I'm Lovie Smith, I'm doing exactly what he did because I don't want to get screwed over because he got a screw job, I believe, in Chicago, and it's looking like he's going to get a screw job here too. I mean, let's be real here.
Terrible job, Godfrey.
Mm-hmm.
They have to know when they hire him that he needs to be there for 3 years. Like they have to allow him to build a culture. Like if you take that job,
he has a quarterback, right?
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, I do everything I can to draft Bryce Young there. Get him with John Mechie, who should be back next year, hopefully. His former Alabama teammate. I do everything I can to get Bryce Young there. That's exactly what I want. That's who I want. I think he's a winner. I think he'll be electric in the city of Houston, and I do whatever I can to get that situated. And I spend all my cap money protecting him. Give him an offensive line. Make sure he's protected. Let him feel like he feels at Alabama. That's what I do.
They're just a bad organization, though. So the question is
100%.
if. So logic doesn't apply here to that organization, and thus far it doesn't. I'm just saying if I'm Lovie Smith, I am defending my ship because, I'm like, you're not making me co-sign this Davis Mills crap. Like I pushed it. You know what I mean? Like I'm letting people know I'm here to win games, right? And that's why I made that move of him, Kyle Allen. Like we're not going to win with this guy right now, so we got to go Kyle Allen. Like
my answer to Cool McCain's question, would you rather have Zach Wilson or David Mills, is Zach Wilson. I would sit Zach Wilson's ass on the bench and see if he matures because I know he has the arm talent. I know he has the talent. I just need him to be able to read an NFL defense and mature. Where Davis Mills, I just know is not a good quarterback. He stinks. Rob Shuck, 49ers are going to the Super Bowl and winning it by 14. Heard it here first. Actually, you didn't hear it here first, Rob. If you looked at Wire to Wire's pre-show for our Super Bowl preview, my Super Bowl prediction was Buffalo versus San Francisco. Yep. So they didn't hear it here first. You heard it here third. Kidding.
But I guess to go with Godfrey's point, since the Texans have been such a bad organization, the best way to fix that is make a commitment to Lovie Smith. That way you have that set. Give him a quarterback to develop and grow with. If they're going to turn around and fire Lovie Smith at the end of the season, then try to draft a quarterback, you're kind of just turning on the hamster wheel at this point.
Yeah.
So stick with Lovie Smith. Show the team, show the city that this is our guy. We're not blaming him for this season because he didn't bring in Davis Mills. He was attached to him.
Yeah.
If Davis Mills isn't good enough, it's not Lovie Smith's fault.
It's tough. I mean, if you want to go with, Lovie Smith's supposed to be defensive-minded coach, right? I'm really not taking any shots on him because he doesn't have the best roster in the world, but he's got some young players in there. And they have made some good draft picks this past year. Pierce, Stingley.
Yeah.
Good players, right? But if I'm
100%.
Lovie Smith, I feel that. But bad organizations have constant instability. So if you're always changing head coaches, you're never going to be able to build a successful program. And that's the problem that they might have there. So the question is, do I get someone that's offensive-minded and draft a Bryce Young? Or do I stick with Lovie Smith and make sure he brings in someone offensive-minded to work on his staff?
I think that's exactly what you do. You have Lovie Smith, and he brings in an offense coordinator to work with the young quarterback. Everybody keeps saying get Jimmy G, bro. Jimmy G is nothing but a bridge. I swear. He's going to make the Super Bowl this year or make it to the NFC Championship game because of that San Francisco team around him. But he's nothing but a bridge. And if you think he's a franchise quarterback, you're wrong. I'm sorry. He's not. I watch him play week in and week out, and the 49ers never ever win because of him. They only lose because of him. That's the truth. Like when the 49ers win games, it's because they have CMC and Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle. Bro, can you imagine putting those weapons around a franchise quarterback with a good offensive line and a great defense? Like, that's not what other teams get. Because they're not really paying the quarterback position much, they're able to spend a lot of other money in other areas. Jimmy G will not be your savior. I promise you that. Get a young quarterback in the draft, develop him, Bryce Young, a la. Listen, I've been waiting long enough. I have to say it. Godfrey knows this all too well. I said it at the end of last year. I said it again in March when he was moved. I'll say it again now. I apologize to all the listeners of Wire to Wire, Pregaming Pigskin, Birds Deep, whatever, for how strongly my opinion was on a trash can of a quarterback that used to be an MVP candidate in Carson Wentz. This dude is over in Washington and is an absolute trash can. Gets benched for Taylor Heineke, who's not much better. And anybody that thinks Taylor Heineke is much better than Carson Wentz, you're not really watching. He's not that good. They're winning despite him once again. It's the same thing with Cooper Rush. Same thing with a lot of these quarterbacks that they're winning football games because they have great football teams around them. Good coaching, good football team, whatever. Taylor Heineke stinks, okay? And Carson Wentz just lost his job to Taylor Heineke, who we watched last year, guys. We watched Taylor Heineke last year. We watched a full season of Taylor Heineke last year. What was he? He stinks.
Was he celebrating like he was at the end of the Eagles game? Like,
that was embarrassing.
Yes, I got the job. Yes,
that was embarrassing.
Yes.
That was so embarrassing.
You know,
him celebrating a roughing the passer call was literally embarrassing.
It was cringeworthy. Absolutely. Wentz, so I didn't really realize this, and there was an interview recently, and you can look it up, where Darren Sproles confirmed that story, whether we knew it was true or not, that he had to talk to him. And, you know, I was a big Wentz guy, and I jumped off the wagon at a certain point because of the teammate aspect of it. And, I mean, Wentz had a really, really good year. I was like, oh, my God, this guy's going to be – this is Ginger Jesus. Let's go. But it didn't happen. Unfortunately, I think injuries kind of curbed it, and you know, his ability was able to mask a lot of indeficiencies. But his attitude as a teammate is Zach Wilson. Like, he just holds it inwardly, so it's hard to read. Zach Wilson is too young to realize that he shouldn't be saying that stuff out loud. Wentz is smart enough to keep it inwardly. And, you know, for him to have that attitude during 2017 and Sproles had to say, be happy for the team, I was like, wow. Because that was always rumor, but he confirmed it. And I was like, wow. So to me, I mean, that's his biggest problem is I don't think he's as coachable as he used to be. And I just think he's not a good teammate. I mean, it's hard to argue that after, I didn't want to believe it, but after hearing Darren Sproles say what he said, I was like, oh man, that is pretty ugly.
You get benched for Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. You get traded. Jim Irsay and the Colts couldn't get him out of there quick enough. One season after that Jacksonville Jaguars debacle. And then you go to Washington and you don't look great, and you get benched for Taylor Heineke. This is the end for Carson Wentz. He's relegated to be a backup quarterback in the NFL. He's got his one big contract. He got paid. I think that the injury really destroyed him. I really believe that.
Two injuries really destroyed him. It was
the ACL. The ACL was the one that really broke him, in my opinion. The back injury hurt. The back injury hurt when he had the back surgery. But the ACL injury, I think, was the because you got to see the jealousy in Carson Wentz. You got to see the let me be the guy in Carson Wentz. And, you know, in 2017, he made a lot of ridiculous plays. But when you don't have that athleticism to carry you, and you want to be the guy so bad, you try to make these hero plays when the right play is sitting right in front of you. You know, they had the in 20, and I'll never forget this. In 2020 in Philadelphia, he kept missing the wide open receiver for the first down and kept trying to hit that home run special play. And it seemed as if he just wanted to be looked at and revered the same way he was in 2017, when all he had to do was make the right plays and trust in his teammates, and he would have been fine. But I think that the arm talent's always been there. There's a throw he made versus the Arizona Cardinals on Thursday Night Football when half his team was missing, in the back of the end zone, like a 1-2% chance to make this play that was unbelievable. And I think he wants to make that play every week. And it's just not realistic. There's a reason it's a 1% chance. There's a reason you don't hit your 7-leg parlays too often.
Yeah. And someone said he's scared. I think that's wrong. He's not scared. I don't think he's scared at all. You know, that knee injury was horrible for him, but he came back too early because of ego. That I think, you know, a lot of people talk about, and it's reported on that might have brought on that back injury because he wasn't ready to come back from that knee injury as early as he did.
Yeah.
So he pushed to get into the lineup. And he does try to play hero ball. And the problem is that injury Gene talks about is it takes a half a second off his step. That's why in 17 he was able to make those plays. That half a second makes a huge difference for him and his escapability. And he doesn't have it anymore, and he hasn't adjusted his game. He needs to take what the defense gives him, and he could be a serviceable quarterback. I mean, I think the Texans will just screw everything up and trade for him anyway, personally. You know, I could totally see that. Here's Lovey. Here's your quarterback, Carson Wentz. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Rob, you can ask this serious question. We'll answer it. We got to move on, though. I don't want to talk about Baker Mayfield. He got benched again. Who cares? That Carolina is almost as big a dumpster fire as Houston is. They have 3 quarterbacks. They have 4 quarterbacks on their roster, and the one that's on IR is probably their best one at Matt Corral, because the other 3, Baker Mayfield, PJ Walker, and Sam Darnold, are all just retreads and just not it. Do the 3 of you think the Eagles are a good team? Yeah, the Eagles are a good team. I hate people that live in the Philadelphia area, like Rob Shuck, that think the Eagles aren't a good team because their schedule, or because he's a 49ers fan and he believes that his 49ers are better. I think the Eagles are a good team, but I don't think they're a Super Bowl winning team. I don't. I hope I'm wrong, but if I'm being honest with myself and being upfront, a good team and a Super Bowl team are 2 different things. Mm-hmm. But don't. That's silly. That's a silly.
They're definitely a good team. A good team. A bad team would not have won that game last week. Jalen Hurts willed them to that win.
That's big yes. Boom.
Yeah, he willed them to that win. I watched him will it to the win. I was worried the whole time as Eagles fan. I'm like, really? Is this gonna happen? Really? And Jalen Hurts willed them to that win. He showed me a lot in that game. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't sexy. But if you're watching the game, the team showed you a lot of winning character in that game.
Agreed, 100%.
Yeah, this season's a necessary step for them to become a Super Bowl team. And like Godfrey said, a win last week in that kind of fashion, those are wins that Super Bowl level teams get. You know, Super Bowl winning teams don't blow out everybody. Certain weeks, there are games you have to really fight for. And so, yeah, to answer Rob's question, I do think they're a good team, even though I'm not a Eagles fan, but I can recognize that they have talent there.
We're coming for you, Bill Belichick. We're coming for you.
So we got to preview today's games. We want to talk about, for the guys listening at home, Detroit gets another. By the way, if you don't know, I see so many people ask about this. Why do Detroit and Dallas get home games every year? Because when the NFL wanted to make games on Thanksgiving and wanted to become a sport, nobody wanted to play on Thanksgiving. And one of the stipulations Detroit and Dallas had was, listen, we'll play on Thanksgiving, we'll host on Thanksgiving. But, you know, when this gets bigger, we want to always play on Thanksgiving. We want to always host on Thanksgiving. And the NFL basically gave them a handshake deal that if they help build the product, they would always give them a home game on Thanksgiving. And it's become tradition. I think it's great that they added a third game on Thursday night and give you like that. The turkey is settling. I get to watch some football. And that game's, you know, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, you've seen over the years. This year we got Minnesota, New England. They're always good games. I love what they added.
100%.
But I think that today's docket is pretty simple. I think you have two very heavy favorites. I think the Giants might keep it closer than the Lions will. I think the first game, Bills Lions, is going to be an absolute shootout. Even though Buffalo's got a good defense, for whatever reason, Detroit seems to move the ball very well at home. I could see that game being like a 49-32 game, Buffalo winning. I think that game's going to be like I don't know how Detroit's defense stops Buffalo at all. And with the exception of Aiden Hutchinson, who's really come along well and really put to rest a lot of people that didn't think he was good enough to be the second overall pick.
Crazy. He should have been the first overall pick, in my opinion, but whatever.
He's playing better than Trevon Walker, I'll tell you that.
Damn straight he is. I mean, when the Jags did that, I was like, maybe they did that. I don't know. He
Trevon
wanted to be in
Walker's
Detroit.
Playing well, bro. He's not playing bad.
I just think Hutchinson's a home run.
You know the thing about Aiden Hutchinson that I really love, and for all the Detroit fans listening out there, I know we have a few of them. I love the fact that he brings culture to your team. He brings a desire to win. He brings that I'm going to give effort on every play. I'm going to hustle every play. I'm going to lead by example. Whereas
He wants to be there.
A lot of these guys are straight talent at the top of the draft. They're straight raw talent. Like Trevon Walker and Aiden Hutchinson, the big difference to me was Trevon Walker's a lot more of that run a ridiculous 40, strength, size. But I think Aiden Hutchinson's that will to win guy. You know, Aiden Hutchinson reminds me so much of Joey Bosa. Like it really reminds me of that type of player. But your thoughts on the Buffalo Bills versus the Detroit Lions, Kyle?
I mean, the Bills are the better team, but I do see a lot of points in this game, and I don't care how bad the Lions are or whatever. I mean, the Lions have given us some moments on Thanksgiving, mainly Barry Sanders, but I mean, I don't have a problem seeing the Lions on Thanksgiving. It is what it is. But yeah, Buffalo, this is probably a game that they'll need because, you know, Josh Allen hasn't kind of been himself the past couple of weeks. So this could be a get-right game for him. In terms of a score, I'm looking at probably 38-27, something like that. And, yeah, the Bills get a nice, easy win on Thanksgiving.
I want to address one comment real quick before Godfrey gives his take. So he said, sooner or later, the game will fall into Hurts' hands solely. We'll find out then where he really is as a quarterback. And then the next comment is, we are going to destroy the Giants. I didn't need to know, Douglas, who you were. I know who you are, but obviously I've listened to the network. But I didn't need to know who you were to know you were a Cowboys fan based off that opinion above. If you didn't watch the Colts game, the game fell specifically in Jalen Hurts' hand on that last drive. He actually ran the ball 3 straight times, and then he ended up scoring the touchdown. So I don't know what that means. The game is going to fall in his hands, and then we'll find out what type of quarterback he is. Hey, I will say this, though. The game has fell in Dak Prescott's hands multiple times, and we found out what type of quarterback he was.
Took the words out of my mouth.
Sorry.
I mean, he folds like a house of cards. If you get down by 10+ points and you're Dak Prescott, you're screwed. I mean, let's show me that. I've seen it multiple times. I would live bet against him if I got favorable odds and he is down by 10+ points, and I would feel comfortable all day long doing it. Just saying. The winner of that game is going to be the Bills. I think it has a sneaky backdoor cover potential because the Bills do turn the ball over a lot this year, if you've noticed. It's not a 1-game trend, not a 2-game trend. They've turned it over
every game trend.
Right. So they could get some turnovers in Detroit. So that's a sneaky 9.5. I'd be careful of taking the Bills with the points. Do I think the Bills win? Yes. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, they covered by a touchdown and not really 9.5. So I would see something like, just because of an errant turnover, that doesn't matter. The game could be like 31-17, and then you see a pick six out of nowhere, and then boom, your cover just goes right out the door. So I'm going to go with the 31-24 Bills.
Okay, I have a same game parlay for this, and I wanted to read it just so, because I think this is going to It's a $25 one, and it's just not a crazy. A plus 1900. Jamal Williams anytime touchdown. Gabe Davis anytime touchdown. Bills money line. Josh Allen 250 plus. Jared Goff 225 plus. Amon-Ra St. Brown 60 plus. Gabe Davis 60 plus. What part of that doesn't hit? Because I'm not going to win it. There's no way I win it.
Gabe Davis.
Anytime touchdown or 60 yards?
Anytime touchdown. Just because Gabe Davis is like, in fantasy football terms, talent-wise on the field, great player. Fantasy football terms, he's been breaking your heart all year if you're starting him in your line. I'm just saying, most of the time, you're like, damn it, where was Gabe at? I mean, it just so that. Yeah, that would be that's a tough parlay right there. Just because of Gabe Davis is the one where I'm just saying,
I'll tell you why I went with Gabe Davis. Jeffrey Okudah is out, right?
True.
So if I'm the Lions and I'm game planning for the Buffalo Bills, I'm taking a double team and I'm putting on Stephon Diggs and I'm single covering Gabe Davis with my number 3 cornerback. So I just feel like he has the potential to go off in this game. That's what I promise you. There was like some thought process behind this. If Okudah was playing, my answer would be Diggs because, the Lions are going to try to one-on-one Jeffrey Okudah with Stephon Diggs, and Stephon Diggs is going to score. But he's going to get his. But because he's not playing, that's why I went with Gabe Davis. So, whatever. Long story short, I hope I could hit some Thanksgiving cheer, but if not, it's $25. I don't really care that much. So you have the Bills winning 2, Kyle?
Yep.
All right, so second game on the docket. I'm sure Douglas Brooks is going to love this one. Dallas Cowboys versus the New York Giants. I think it's hilarious how the New York Giants are coming down to earth. And I think that, great coaching can only take you so far. And Brian Daboll's doing a great job coaching that team. But with great coaching comes great response. I'm kidding. The Daniel Jones-led New York Giants aren't good. They could lose out the rest of the season. Like, if you look at the Giants' schedule from here on out, they might win 2 games the rest of the year and still make the playoffs. I would love that. 9-8. That would be amazing to me. The Giants are frauds. They're not good football. They're not a good football team. They are a very good coach football team with a very good running back, with no wide receivers and a guy that cannot be your franchise quarterback. And the Danny Jones, the Danny Dimes apologists, you are going to sadly be let down for the rest of the year as the Giants completely crumble. Starting this week, Micah Parsons is absolutely unreal on the football field. He has been, and I called it last week with Minnesota, and I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but I will. I told you guys last week that game was going to be a blowout. I took the Cowboys minus 13.5. When defenses can get after your quarterback, it takes a special quarterback to be able to move the ball. Daniel Jones is not that special quarterback, and that Dallas defense can get after the quarterback. Kirk Cousins, the same thing tonight, and I'll get into that shortly. Micah Parsons and that Dallas defense eats. I don't know if they cover the 10. 10's a lot of points, especially for a rivalry game. But I don't think that game's really ever in doubt.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think with the Giants, because I looked at their schedule, I think they fall out of the playoffs. And I think there's a good chance the Commanders can end up being a playoff team, which we'll have to see based off of Heineke's play the rest of the way. But it's not looking good for the Giants the rest of the way. But,
well, they have the Commanders twice, so that's their 2 winnable games on their schedule. I mean,
outside
obviously
of that,
they
it's
can
tough.
beat the Eagles, but they got to go to Minnesota. They got to play the Cowboys this week. They play the Eagles twice. They don't have an easy schedule at all. They play the Commanders twice, the Eagles twice, the Cowboys once, the Vikings. They're all going to be. And listen, Douglas, you said we can't stop the run though. I don't care if you can stop the run because they're going to load the box so much because the Giants have no defense, no wide receiver weapons at all. They're going to load the box so much that Saquon Barkley is going to be running into a wall all day.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. I think The Cowboys should win this. If they don't, there's going to be some trouble in Big D. But Thanksgiving, it's at home. I agree with Gene. I do not feel comfortable with if I'm betting the spread taking 10.5 points in this division game. I do think that Dallas easily wins. But once you get into double digit spreads, man, it makes me a little queasy. So I feel like it should be a dominant game because they are coming back down to earth, and you will hear the whispers of, well, you didn't take the 5th-year option with Daniel Jones. It's going to cost you more. Well, that price is going to go down each week, and it's going to start dropping like Twitter stock. So just, that you're not going to be – the Giants aren't worried about signing Daniel Jones long-term. Trust me when I tell you that. And they are showing who they are. Brian Dable has done a great job with having a bare cupboard and not having a ton of talent in certain aspects of his team. But Micah Parsons is going to make Daniel Jones' life hell today. He is going to make his life hell. And Micah Parsons was a terror last week in that game against the Vikings. Big reason why they blew him out. And I got to tell you, man, the Giants are coming back down to earth. I thought they were going to be a little bit better, but, Brian Dable can only do so much. He can't play for the players, and that's the point they're at.
Yeah. I mean, just get Dayball a quarterback next year, and they'll be fine. I don't think Daniel Jones comes back there. There's no reason to bring him back unless you want to bring him back to be a backup. But, yeah, the Giants will be fine.
He might be in the Texans. He might be starting, and Carson Wentz might be backing him up. That's it. I'm trying to figure out who they're going to sign. Maybe I can find some odds somewhere where they give me that and it's a high odd number because expect the unexpected from Houston. Sorry, Houston. I doubt there's any Houston fans in this chat, but they just.
There is. Coach Dante's
one.
Wow.
Coach Dante's from Houston. He's the man, too.
My condolences. You are a rider through and through, sticking with your team.
But he got Astros win. He's Astro. Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's some relief then. But yeah, I'm taking the Giants to lose. I'm taking the Cowboys to win. I see I don't like the spread, so I'm going to stay true to what I'm saying. So I see like a 31. I'm going to say more of like a 24-16 game, and not because it was close. The score won't indicate the score in the game in general. Just to say they're going to dominate, and they're probably going to do it early, and then they're going to run the clock out by their stuffing the ball down their throat, and that's that. I just see short week. They're not going to try to stress their team out on a short week after coming off the road, and they're going to get to that turkey. And yeah, Giants. Sorry, man, you're going to play like the little Giants today.
The Giants injury list is just absolutely insanity, right?
Didn't they lose a tackle, right?
Evan Neal, their number 5 overall pick tackle is out. They have 3 guards out, including their starting 2.
Oh,
Fabian Moreau's out, so their starting cornerback is out. And then Andrew Thomas, their other guard, is questionable. I mean, their other tackle is questionable. So their offensive line is in shambles. And Adoree Jackson's out. That's their best corner. He's been out though. But my point being is, there's a reason this spread's 10. It's because the Giants are running out their practice squad players with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. But by the way, quick shout out to the New York Giants fan base. I loved what they did when Kenny Golladay caught his first pass. The very sarcastic cheer, very loud cheer. So I thought that was a great call. How do you see the game, Kyle?
Yeah, I have probably 27-16 Dallas. I feel like if the Giants could even put together a couple of drives, that look promising, they'll just end in field goals. They might get 1 touchdown today. But like I said, you just ran off the offensive line issues. Not exactly the best thing to have when you have Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence on the other side.
Yeah. I think it's 31-13 Dallas, but I would never touch a division game where you're laying 10 points or more. I hate that. I don't want to do it again. I did it with the Eagles versus Washington. I'll never do it again, and they see what happened. But I don't like touching division games laying 10 points or more. But if I had to predict the game, I'd probably say 31-13 Cowboys. Yeah, the entire offensive line is out. The center's out also. Jesus. Like, could you imagine that? Like you, because it might be one of these guys' first starts in the NFL, and like you line up against Micah Parsons, who runs like a 4.3 40 and is strong as an ox. Oh God.
I could just imagine the people that get the Giants ready, like, Daniel Jones, are you at the building yet? No response. ... Yeah, I'm here. He knows. He knows what's coming today.
Yeah.
He's gonna, it's like, come get your whooping, Daniel Jones. He knows what's coming today because he knows he's missing half his O line, and your tackle, man, he's gonna be running for his damn life. He might have 70 rushing yards today.
Yeah.
She knows. I'm playing that just for Daniel Jones. But let's get into the nightcap, and then we'll go over a couple games on Sunday, and we'll wrap it up. And you guys can get to your turkey lunches. I got to leave at 11:30 because I got a turkey lunch to get to myself. But so let's get into the nightcap. Kyle's New England Patriots. This is the game of the week. Game of the week. Kyle's New England Patriots. And listen, when you seen this game on the schedule, maybe 3 weeks ago, you still knew that you had a really good chance of beating the Minnesota Vikings on Thursday Night Football because what? Kirk Cousins in prime time.
Yep.
But now, after the defense that the Patriots have put on the field the last few weeks, Matthew Judon is he's next level right now. Like, he's one of those guys you talk about for Defensive Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Man. And they hit again in the draft. Jack Jones, absolute stud at the cornerback.
Marcus Jones too.
What? Yeah. I mean, listen, the New England Patriots defense looks Super Bowl worthy. I think this is a terrible game for the Minnesota Vikings. Why is it a trap game, Anthony? I don't know what that a trap game would refer to. They're looking past the game towards a game next week. Are you talking about a trap spread? I don't know. I think the spread is a trap for the Minnesota Vikings. You look at a team that's 8-2, hosting a game at home. What you're saying is on a neutral field, the Patriots are half a point better than the Minnesota Vikings. That's what you're saying because home field gives you 3 points. And the Vikings are only a 2.5 point favorite. The public's all over the Vikings in this game because they look at the schedule, they look at the numbers and Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook and all the names. But I'll tell you something right now. New England is going to break out and break out a whooping tonight. That's my personal opinion. But I want to defer to Kyle. He knows the game better than anybody on the New England Patriots. And Kyle, how's the game going to go tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I hear the questions about Jefferson. I'm assuming with Jack Jones's confidence and the way that he plays, he's going to want that opportunity to go up against Jefferson. I think they'll cover him with probably McCourty over the top. I mean, Key brings a good point. It could be an Adam Thielen type of game, but Judon's going to probably be chasing Kirk Cousins all day. If he doesn't get sacks, he'll definitely hit him a lot, which can affect him. Cook's going to have a big game for the Vikings to win this one. Now, the questions offensively for the Patriots, they're there, obviously, but I feel like Mac Jones looked better last week, even though they didn't put points up. But he kind of started getting back to kind of how he was before, games before where he looked like he wasn't confident in what he was seeing. So I actually think Mac Jones has a decent game. I think the offense looks better in this one. I have the Patriots winning, obviously, but I mean, I don't know if it's going to be a butt whipping, but I'll probably go 24-20 Patriots.
I got a 21-10 Patriots. I don't think the score indicates how the game will not be close. Like if that makes sense. I don't think that you'll ever be in jeopardy of the Patriots losing the game.
Right.
Godfrey,
Yeah.
got to take that.
Nope.
How do you feel like the game goes, bro? Wake up.
I feel like when I think of this game, a phrase comes to my mind, and it goes immediately no, and that is taking Kirk Cousins on a prime time is immediately no, all the time, every day. Um, I feel like it's prime time. It's nighttime. Everybody's going to be watching this game. National TV, as all the games today are. And I agree with Kyle. I think this is a sneaky game for Matt Jones to have a passing performance. Bill Belichick will take away what is your best weapon, and there is no way that Justin Jefferson, and if he does, he's the man because he is.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't having 200-yard game on Bill Belichick. He's not going to let it happen. He's going to say, listen, you're going to have to beat me with Thielen. You're going to have to try to beat me with TJ Hockenson. And you're going to have to try to beat me with Dalvin Cook. And I don't see that happening, unfortunately, because, they got some talent on that Viking squad. But, I think this is going to be a sneaky. I'll see how you feel about this as Patriots fans. Sneaky Devontae Parker game. Okay? I could just see Devontae Parker having that game he has every now and then, and have 100 yards and a touchdown. And I could just see him torching them. And I just feel like Mac Jones did play a little bit better last week. And I could see him passing on them. As much as I'm not a huge Mac Jones fan, but, I mean, when you look at this game, I think Belichick is still, one of the best schemers in football. He's, a professor when it comes to defense with a master's degree. And I think with the offense, you're looking at Mac Jones, and that's where they're going to attack them where they're weak. And the Vikings they're weak. And there's a lot of injuries, I believe, in their secondary on a short week. I don't think those guys were able to get healed up. Is Christian Darrisaw still out as well? I don't know.
Christian Darrisaw's out. Cam Dantzler was just put on IR, so he's done, and Andrew Booth Jr. is out. So they're missing both their starting cornerbacks and their left tackle.
Devontae Parker's going to eat. He's going to eat. And so this game, I think, is, the spread's 2.5. I think they're going to easily cover that. Spread's 2.5, right? Am I saying that right?
2.5 point dogs.
They're 2.5 point dog. Oh, please. That is a gift. Take the gift. That is the gift of Turkey Day, the gift of Thanksgiving. I'm taking that 2.5.
And the money's actually on Minnesota. The public's on Minnesota.
They're out of their minds. They're just going based off pure record. If there's one guy that I'm confident in taking the points that I know is going to shorten the field, it will be a Bill Belichick defense. Take the 2.5 points. It's a gift. You're welcome. Put that towards your gifts tomorrow when you win that.
74% of the bets and 66% of the money
is on the Vikings.
Yep,
of course. It's the home bias, the recency bias. They look at the record.
The public is on. You're going to be amazed. The public is on the Lions plus 10, 9.5. The Giants plus 10, and the Vikings minus 2.5.
So I believe that. I'll tell you why. What I noticed with betting when it became legal is a lot of people fall in love with odds and not the outcome of a game. Parlays are popular. I enjoy them. You enjoy them. If you put $25 on it like Gene gave you, not a big deal, right?
Yeah.
But everybody falls in love with the odds. They form their bets based off the odds.
Yep.
So if it's minus 110, they're like, I don't like it. I'll take it. I'll put my 50 on my minus 110. I'll take that win. You could go try to chase that plus 180 and have a nice day. And I guarantee my bank account will be bigger at the end of the season. That's why that doesn't surprise me, because the public just loves everybody loves plus money. I love plus money, but there's a reason why they're trying to suck you in. That 2.5, man, that's a gift. I'm sorry. That's a gift.
All right. Well, there's not a lot of games on Sunday that are filtering great attention, in my opinion. So what we'll do is, to kind of wrap up the show in the last 20 minutes, 15 minutes, is we'll go over a few of them just to kind of give everybody a little bit of pregame for the show. I'm going to tell you a game, and we're going to tell you a game. We're just going to give a 1 second or 2-word reaction, and then we'll park on a couple good ones. Okay. Dolphins at a 13.5 point favorite at home versus the Texans.
Dolphins.
I don't know about 13.5, but Dolphins. I mean,
the Jets are 6-point favorites over the Bears. Justin Fields probably will not play. He's separated his shoulder.
guess that Jets defense, Jets.
Yeah, agreed.
I guess Mike White's right, huh? I'm gonna go. I'm surprised you. I'm gonna go Bears on this.
Okay. Here's what I want to park on for a minute, just because I told you this last week, and I'll tell you again. They're still plus 1,700. Bet $100 on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win the Super Bowl. Bet $100 on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win the Super Bowl. They're plus 1,700. Listen, I think the Eagles or the 49ers are favorites in the NFC. I understand that. I'm not saying that, and I would love to see either one of them win the Super Bowl. But to go into a playoff run, Tom Brady will never run into a less accomplished version of quarterbacks than he'll run into this year. Like as scheduled right now, as the four seed, he'd play Daniel Jones in Tampa Bay. Then he would play Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco, and then Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. Like listen, I love Jalen Hurts, but if you go one of these things just ain't like the other, and you said Daniel Jones, Jalen Hurts, Jimmy Garoppolo, Tom Brady, what would one of those things be? Like one of those things just ain't like the other. And it's absurd. They're only 3.5-point favorites this week. They're one of my picks this week. I like the Buccaneers minus 3.5 over the Browns in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Oh, Deshaun Watson's back, right?
Nope.
Next week.
Oh, it's next week, right? Okay. Yeah. No reason to really go with the Browns in this one.
Yeah, I'm TB12 all day. He's pissed. He's thinking about that jiu-jitsu instructor, doing warm-ups with Giselle.
I like the Jaguars as an upset, a 3.5-point upset over the Ravens in Jacksonville coming off the bye. I think they keep that game close. Baltimore could win it. Could be a walk-off field goal. But Baltimore showed me they're just not complete right now. Mark Andrews is hurt. They have no wide receivers. Lamar Jackson is slowing down a little bit without having any wide receivers to throw to. I think Jacksonville covers the 3.5 in Jacksonville. Your thoughts?
I could see that. Yeah, I mean, the Ravens just play a conservative style that I feel like keeps a lot of teams in it. I've been one to bet, well, not bet, but to pick Jacksonville as upsets for a few weeks, but I'm not. I could see that, to be honest with you, because I'm not overly sold on the Ravens yet. I mean, they're a talented team, but like I said, offensively, they just don't wow me right now. So I can see that. But I'd probably pick the Ravens to win that game.
Here, your thoughts, Godfrey?
I would probably pick the Ravens, but I like your idea of the upset because I'm going to tell you why. Real quick, the Ravens are always trying to reinvent the goddamn wheel. Okay, and what do I mean? I'm hearing radio ads on Sports Talk Radio. DeMarcus Robinson be a sneaky pickup for your fantasy team. Are you fucking kidding me? They're forcing the ball to DeMarcus Robinson? Are you shitting me? How? Why is he getting 10 targets? That tells me there's a goddamn identity crisis on that offense. Go back to what works. DeMarcus Robinson. So that's okay. Cool. Good job. Devin Duvernay over DeMarcus Robinson all day long. There's other talent on that team that's more talented than him, and you're force feeding the ball to DeMarcus Robinson. Lamar Jackson thinks that. Coaches need to sit him down like, bro, this is DeMarcus Robinson. We brought him in to be the fifth receiver. You need to stop playing right now.
Here's a game to park on. Bengals at Titans. This is another game of the week. Bengals are 2.5-point favorites in Tennessee. Tennessee's got the better record. It's a very, very sneaky game. But Jamar Chase should be back. Listen, I'm a Joe Cool guy. I've said this all the time. I released my quarterback tiers on Twitter. There's 3 quarterbacks in my tier 1: Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, I have faith in him. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon. They're just too much for Tennessee. I think the Bengals win this one.
I agree. If you want to talk about a trap game, this is a trap game for the Titans, in my opinion.
I feel like most people don't know what a trap game is. Why is it a trap game?
I just think that they're coming off that big win. They were underdog on the road. And I just think trap game to me is, it's a game where people think that they should do better at home because they're the home team and they have a good record. The record indicates they're 7-3. You're like, all right, that's a solid playoff team, division leader. But the Bengals are coming in as a favorite in Tennessee, and there's a reason why. I just think it's a trap for that team. It's a letdown game. That's maybe the better what I meant to say. It's a letdown game for the Titans.
Okay, letdown makes more sense.
Yeah, and
Trap game would
The
be
Bengals are going to beat them.
a lot of people use the word trap game. A trap game means like, hey, listen, if the Titans were playing for the division next week versus a team that was contending for the division, they might be preparing for like that game, which they're not. So, like, an example of a trap game would be if the Eagles Dallas was next week and we were playing a team that was moderate. We were playing like
Green Bay.
I don't know, Green Bay, yeah, and that would be a trap game because the Eagles might be looking past Green Bay to the Dallas game.
Mm-hmm.
But a trap game, this is not a trap game. Just Bengals are just a better football team, in my opinion.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
And the Titans listen. They beat the Packers pretty convincingly, and they had a really good run game, and they made some plays. But if you look at that game, if you were watching it and not just looking at the box score, Aaron Rodgers missed some throws that were pretty wide open that would have been touchdowns. And the point of me bringing it up is the Titans do not have a good secondary, and Joe Cool can tear them up even without Jamar Chase. And T. Higgins can get off. Tyler Boyd can get off. Hayden Hurst. They will pass on this squad. And this is a sneaky over because of that.
I agree with you. Okay. The Falcons, Commanders. Commanders are playing at home. Falcons are 5-6. I think this is a sneaky good game. I think the Falcons keep this game a lot closer than you think it would be.
Yep.
Cordell Patterson's been playing his ass off.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's for a Falcons team that's really not going anywhere. He's like the most exciting player on it. He's one of the only reasons to watch the Falcons, to see what he does.
They're 5-6, man. They're right in the division race. The Falcons are playing good football this year. I really believe that. But that is what it is. I'll take the Commanders, but not covering the 4.5.
Yeah, I think it's a close game, and I'll take the Commanders too. Is Chase Young back? I know he was activated.
Yes, he's back this week.
I think that makes a difference. Kyle Pitts losing him doesn't make a difference because they couldn't seem to get him the ball anyway. So, I think the Commanders are on a roll right now, and I think they could beat them. But it could be a close game. It can go either way. But I don't like plus 4 points either. I agree.
Here's the one I don't understand. I look at this game and I think it's a no-brainer, but the spread is telling me you should not think it's a no-brainer. The Chargers are -3 at the Cardinals. Kyler Murray should be back this week. What in the world has told you that this should only be a 3-point spread? I don't understand that. Listen, I'm not. Listen, I tell you this all the time. I think Justin Herbert's a very, very, very talented quarterback. I think he's a little overhyped for what he's done, but he's great. Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler. Listen, the Chargers are a good football team, but why are they only 3-point favorites over the Cardinals? The Cardinals are quitting on games. They just played on a short week. They're playing the Chargers now after a short week. I don't understand how this is only a 3-point spread. I love the Chargers in this spot. I don't know why. And I think part of the reason I'm staying away from it, it's kind of like the Chargers too much.
The Chargers have a boat anchor attached to it called Brandon Staley. That's probably so. I mean, listen, Staley should have been fired. I'm not saying literally should have been fired, but how many close games are you going to lose to the Chiefs, and how many times are you going to let Travis Kelce just put it on you in that moment every single time? You shouldn't. My grandmother, who's been dead for years, knew that play was coming. Okay, you knew it. We all knew it. We knew it, and he did it again and again. Travis Kelce is basically giving them the Halo teabag every time they play him, and he's not doing anything about it. And that's why, I mean, like, what is Brennan? Does he make any adjustments?
No.
I don't. And it's just like, so I think that brings it down. I mean, listen, the Cardinals should be 3-point favorites because they're home. I almost look at it as a 6-point swing, but they're so bad that they're +3 at home. The Chargers, they're also their own version of their own version of dumpster fire. I mean, I think Brandon Staley's gone after this year, unless he wins out and they somehow win a playoff game. He's gone. I mean, him. This is the game of dead men walking, and that's both coaches. So maybe the odds makers are like, I don't know who to give this to because I don't know who's gonna screw it up worse. I mean,
Agreed.
you got the Chargers staff Cardinal staff is losing people because they're like, I know I'm here to win a football game. Let me go grope some women in Mexico and get fired. That's exactly what happened. That's how focused that team is. How disciplined. Their coaches can't even keep themselves in line. How are you going to keep your players in line? It's bad all the way down. I mean,
Godfrey, you're gold this morning. We should have you on Thanksgivings more often.
I mean, can you believe that though? I read that story. I was like, wow. I mean, you guys. I think the coach tried to blame it on the elevation though. He was like, I was too high in the mountains, and that's why I did that. I apologize. Right? Whatever. That team is that whole organization of the Cardinals is awful, and then the Chargers have a scope on them because they're in LA, and it's the NFL's worst nightmare to have bad teams in LA because there's been teams in LA before, and when they're bad, they become irrelevant. And it's the type of city where like we have a million other things to do, so we don't care. If you suck, we're not showing up, and they already have that problem. So it's a destination site for
I don't
NFL
think the Chargers
fans.
have played a home game all year.
Yeah, exactly. It's as an Eagles fan, I remember when they went out and played them, especially it was the Eagles home game. Any good NFL fan base, if it's a Chiefs team, it's a Chiefs home game. The Niners took it over, when they've played them. So it just is one of these things where, that whole fan base, even the Niners in the NFC Championship game, were taking over LA Rams Stadium. So to me, Brendan Staley's going to get fired because the league's on top of that too, and they're like, yeah, man, we need a winner here. Trust me, those conversations are going to happen, and he just isn't the guy. He took a piss in a urinal next to Sean McVay, and they're like, well, you didn't take a long enough piss, so you're out of here, because he's one of those coaches that get plucked off the Sean McVay tree, and they're wishing and hoping that he turns into Sean McVay. Didn't happen. This guy's gone. So I can't believe how much he's had so many stupid decisions. It's mind-numbing to me that this guy, he's got to go. He's got to go. I would have fired him already. I would have fired him, and I would have brought in Antonio Gates as the head coach.
Agreed. Well, not Antonio Gates.
I would have brought Jimmers.
Give me D'Amico Ryan.
Yeah, D'Amico Ryans. He played for the Chargers, right? At a certain point. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's we got to wrap up. It's 11:20. Let's go over one more game. Eagles play the Green Bay Packers Sunday Night Football. It's a primetime game. It was near and dear to our hearts. So, how do you see the game going, Kyle, as an out of towner?
I like the Eagles. Doesn't Rodgers have a broken thumb or something that he's claiming now?
I'm on his throwing hand.
Yeah. So, I mean, he wasn't good before the broken thumb. Now with one, why should it be any better? And I'm one of those who fully believes that the Eagles have a really talented roster, and I think they're going to show it against Green Bay. So, give the Eagles. I have no question about that one.
I love how the broken thumb shows up out of nowhere, like Aaron Rodgers' vaccination status. It's about as shaky as that. Now all of a sudden, he's missing throws. Oh, I got a broken thumb. When did you break it, Aaron? When did that happen, my friend? BS. Like, come on, man. Like, I love how these. I call them circumstantial injuries. Like, oh, a player had a bad performance, or he's lost some face. Either he leaves the game, or after that game, Ian Rappaport leaks like, yeah, he's been. I talked to him because this is where I saw it, and he was telling me he's still dealing with a broken thumb. So either that says your reporters for your team suck, and they couldn't see he had a broken thumb, or they suck and he's lying. So I mean, he does lie. We know. Listen, I'm not saying pro-vax, non-pro-vax, or whatever. I'm just saying he will put a tall tale out there. He did it at the beginning of last season, whether you're for it or against it, and I don't trust it. With that said, do I think the Eagles win? Yes, I do. It's a home game. It's they're going to run the ball down their throats because anybody can run against the Packers. Eagles' run game has improved. Run defense. Sue is there. Linval Joseph. I think they're going to win the game. I think they will win.
You know what makes me feel so confident about it? The Packers refuse to run. Like if they ran the ball with AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones the whole game, I'd be worried about this one because I know the Eagles' run defense improved a little bit last week, but like I wouldn't worry about the Packers coming in with that game plan because they're just too ignorant to run the ball. Aaron Rodgers I need to throw the ball. I need to be the guy and blah, 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 blah. He's such an obnoxious jackass that I don't – that's what makes me not worry about it. And like when you go into a game and you're worried about Alan Lazard and Christian Watson as your wide receivers, I think our cornerbacks match up very well there. So I'm not,
Aaron
of
Rodgers
course,
out there.
Rodgers is going to make some special plays, some special throws. It's going to happen. It happens all the time. But
Aaron Rodgers
like
is out there looking like Nick Cage from Con Air. Just like he's awful right now. And I want him to do well because, I got some shares of players that are attached to him. And Aaron Jones is, I think, underutilized because of Aaron Rodgers. And I think A.J. Dillon's underutilized. But, yeah, they win by a touchdown. It's going to be something like, I see 28, 28-17 or something like that, 28-20. It's not
27-20. That's funny you say that.
Yeah, they're gonna win, and the Packers are in disarray. I mean, you're getting production from your rookie first round draft pick finally, but you're still losing games. That's a problem.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of mentions of the thumb, a lot of cameras zooming in on him, pulling on his thumb. So that's going to be the whole thing. I agree with you guys. I think at least a touchdown win for your Eagles.
I like it. Anybody, any final thoughts before we wrap up on this beautiful Thanksgiving morning? Head over to get some Thanksgiving food. I don't eat breakfast on Thanksgiving. We have like a lunch that starts around like 1:30, 2 o'clock. We watch the football game, and at halftime we eat lunch, and there's the shrimp is ready there. And I'm going to have some shrimp, some crackers, all that stuff. I'm ready before I get my turkey.
Be thankful for what you have. Every day's not promised. Be thankful for, for the positivity in your life, and just, take a time to reflect and not spend your energy on the negative, and try to, just see where you're at and be happy and content.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Be thankful, be happy, and love the people that are around you. If there's some people that haven't checked up on in a while, reach out, because in today's world that can do a lot for people. But yeah, just enjoy. Day's football. Had World Cup already this morning, still going on. So it's a big, packed sports day. But yeah, just be thankful and spread love.
Don't be a double dipper either.
The two big games in the World Cup are happening. One's happening right now, and then one's happening later. You want to see Ronaldo, and you want to see Neymar.
Yeah.
So, the two games earlier, Uruguay's got a chance to make it to the round but I don't think they will.
I have them coming out of that group. I like Uruguay.
They just tied South Korea.
A lot of the Asian countries are
playing well. They're playing well.
They're well structured, so I'm not too mad at that result.
I wish I dropped money on Japan to beat Germany. My God, I saw that and I was like, they're probably having a meltdown in Germany right now.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course. I think they said that game closed like plus 600 or something.
Oh, the Saudi Arabia game. I wish if plus 25 was the beginning of that game, I'm just like, you could get some upsets in the first round, man. But it's been fun to watch. I mean,
I know you were watching it at a soccer bar in Florida the other day, right?
Yeah, I was there. It was a random soccer bar, and they had a sub there that was trash. Don't ever get a sub in Florida. That's all I'm going to say. Or a hoagie, complete trash.
When I go with you, just tell me where not to go.
Don't go to the boardwalk on Hollywood Boulevard. Great bar to watch soccer though. I was watching that game there. It was the U.S. Let's give it away. Let's do a tackle on a guy where his back is facing a goal. Good move, guys. Good move. That's why we're U.S. soccer. I don't know what else to say about that. Just made no sense. Could have had a 1-0 win and have been in a really good position. So,
yep.
Agreed. I'm going to be conflicted though. It's going to be U.S. versus England. I'm going to root for U.S. first. But man, they have Saka, and I'm a big fan of him. He's on the Arsenal club, and he showed up, and then you saw Spain, man. They destroyed. It was like 7-0. I was like, Jesus.
Costa Rica doesn't belong in the World Cup.
Nah, the U.S. beats their behinds regularly. They're a smaller team, and yeah, they don't.
They're defensive minded. It doesn't work in the World Cup.
Yeah, they fall over and dive. I hate defensive minded teams. It's like watching the Devils play trap hockey back in the day. It's like, this sucks. Like, let's just fall over because you're too big and fast. Oh, Foul. It's the. I think LeBron James watches soccer a lot. That's he gets his flopping skills by watching Man United or something like that.
I'm going to do this maybe next week, but I'm going to build a perfect soccer team with American football players.
That's okay.
Like I'm gonna have Tyreek Hill as one of my cheetahs.
Okay. I thought you meant actual soccer players. That's gonna be tough, but go ahead.
No.
All right, I see what you're saying.
We'll do it next week. Thank you for tuning in this week. Pregaming Pigskin. I am Gene Walzak. That's Kyle Edwards running the 1s and 2s. I got D Godfrey, and my point directions are different. So that's Kyle Edwards. That's D Godfrey. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and happy Thanksgiving, y'all.
Go Birds.
Happy Thanksgiving. Go Pats.